What's up? Welcome to Darklight Audio. Today we're going to be talking about another iconic sound. I'm sure you'll recognize it. That's right. We're going to talk about how to make the jump sound from Super Mario Bros. For the NES. Let's get started. Welcome to this tutorial on how to make the jump sound from Super Mario Bros. For the NES. Our approach is not to use the exact tools the original creators used, but rather to use modern synthesizers, mostly software synths, to achieve a close sound, if not the exact sound. By learning how the sound works, you can change it, tweak it, and make your own sound, or a variation that's unique to you. So, we're doing NES sounds. Remember, we only have a few different specific waveforms we can work with. A triangle, and we have two pulse width. Now remember, pulse width is not the same as a square. A square is a kind of pulse width waveform, but not all pulse width waveforms are squares. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. So we're going to have a square and we're going to have a pulse. So you'll need two oscillators for this one. Now I suspect that the Nintendo actually uses the same oscillator and then programs that oscillator to change the duty cycle of a single pulse width oscillator from a square to a different pulse, something thinner. The first note is an A. Let's see if I can tell you exactly which A it is. It's the A above middle C. Okay, that is a square. I'm using massive. I liked the timbre of the square that it gave me. Again, you might want to experiment with your own synthesizers. Next, we have an octave down from that, an A, as a pulse. Now listen, there's the square, there's the pulse. Really, again, they are both pulse width, but the square has a 50-50 duty cycle. So the up part of the square is the same length as the down. But with the pulse, we can change it so that this is a square, there's a square, an omnisphere, and then if I change the pulse width, the timbre changes drastically. It seems to get thinner, more nasally. And I think it's about here that I like the sound, and we can experiment with that in a minute. We have the very first note as a square, and then after that we're going to be using just the pulse. The notes going up will be that A below middle C, and then a half step down, a whole step up. So we went from A to A flat to A sharp. Never mind whether it's B flat or A sharp, just bear with me, okay? And then we just go up chromatically. I did find that there was an area where it kind of skipped ahead in an odd way. It felt like it was almost out of tune. So what I did was I ended up just skipping a note. I skipped the F. So what you should have is something that sounds like this. I'm using omnisphere for this pulse width, as you saw a second ago. I tried this with a few other synthesizers and massive that's been working for a lot of other Mario sounds, but with this one, I really don't like it at all. This is what it sounded like. It's awful. So you got to experiment with the tools that you've got and find what's closest to what you're going for. On the other hand, you might want this kind of like gritty, distorted sound. But for Mario, that's not what we want. For both of your synthesizers, also make sure that they're set to monophonic and that the notes here cross over each other. You can see that each note I have for the sound crosses over. That means that there won't be any gap in the sound from one step to the next. They all, in a monophonic synth, will just play one voice at a time. So we get a nice smooth sound. The next part is the volume. As you can hear, the original sound goes down, bon, in volume. Okay, let me show you the original sound. You can even see the waveform descends. And then the sound here is going its steady volume all the way up. It needs to decay over time. And I would do that about halfway through, just like the original sound here. We could just make the sound decay as we go. We could just automate the volume. Oh, we need a little bit more there at the end. Another way we could do this is actually step the volume, which I found was a little more authentic than I did down here. And you can see that I totally did this by ear. Okay? This one's at about, we started at about 0 or -2 dB, and then the next step at the E flat is at -7 dB, and then the next note is twice that, -12 dB, -17.5 dB, -26 dB, and then the very last two notes are -35 dB. So it's a steep descend in volume. This is what we end up with. So let me play the sample I found online, and let me play this one. Cool, so pretty close. I think we can adjust the pulse width a little bit. Let's make it a little deeper. Yeah, there we're talking. Okay, so all I did was bring in the pulse width a little bit rather than making it thinner. If I made it a square, that's what it sounds like, all square wave. So it's important that you use the pulse width feature in this sound and not just, well, it's a square or something like that. The note speed, let's talk about that for a second. So the entire sound takes place in about half a second. From the first sound with the square wave to the very end, the notes are about equal distant and take place within half a second. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 notes to play in half a second. That's how fast it is. I would make the very first A and the pulse width twice as long. So we'll say that it's worth 2 notes. So that's 15 equal distant notes that you have. Fiddle around with it. That's kind of part of the sound design, is see how you can make this sound closer. But the jump is supposed to sound even. Boing. So if we make all the notes even, it will get that effect. Boing. If we make them different, it'll be boing, you know, that kind of thing. That's a terrible example. So that's it. That's how you make the jump sound. Let's listen to it one more time. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tell me how I can improve these videos. I want them to be interesting and fun. And if you want to support my channel, go ahead and subscribe so you can see the next videos that are coming. I have more videos on my YouTube page for you to check out. I also want to send a special thank you to all my patrons on Patreon for your support. I do these videos for you. You make them possible. Thank you so much. If you're watching this video and you're interested in being a patron yourself, just click on my Patreon link in the subscription. You can unlock all kinds of rewards, be part of the patron-only Facebook page. It's just awesome. So go check those things out. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you on the next video.